Yo, what is up, guys? So it's been a while. I missed my my last video here. Apologies for that. It was a bit of an interesting time to be a content creator, but we'll talk about that. So we're gonna catch up on the couple months that I missed. I'm gonna give you guys the update on the finances as well as the personal goals, and then we're gonna get into where I've been and why I've been gone. So let's get into it. So I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of the actual, the money side of things. Some of the things I'm missing here because, obviously I don't have that because I was MIA. But we do have the earnings here and we'll kind of talk a little bit about it. So to kind of catch you guys up, month one was a pretty good month of the season of the game that I streamed, Path of Exile. Now the season overall was one of the worst received seasons ever, with one of the lowest player counts we've had in years. And that definitely was a pretty big hit to the morale. I tried to keep it as positive as I could, but overall, it was definitely a season people weren't too interested in sticking around in and playing long term, which definitely did hurt my motivation quite a lot. And that's going to be something we chat about here after we get through the details. But fair to say that, obviously we started out strong and then obviously we moved through the months, and you'll notice that my total time streamed and also the YouTube earnings, because of the videos I made, also did dwindle due to my interest in the game and also the negativity in the community affecting me quite significantly, which is a bit unfortunate, but we'll get into that in a little bit here. So Twitch. Month two, we earned 1.4k. We were still streaming a reasonable amount, nowhere near as much at league start, which is the start of the season, but you can see we did still stream 44 hours. Compared to the 155 I streamed, obviously not as much, but you can see here, this does kind of illustrate the fact that there is a bit of diminishing returns here on how much you stream. Despite streaming a third of the time, I still earned, a good chunk of the amount I did earn from month one. Maybe people were more interested in the stream as things died down a little bit. Maybe other streamers stopped streaming and, I kind of gained some of that. But it's interesting nonetheless, and it's definitely something I did notice here. The other one here is YouTube. So YouTube's an interesting one because it's basically a one-to-one relationship with how much content you put out. If you're not making videos, you're not earning anything. And I didn't put out as many videos in month two as I did in month one, not even close. So you can see here that this definitely had an impact on the amount I earned from YouTube, which is, obviously a pretty big deal. But one thing which did bump up here is donations/sponsors. So I've bundled the two together here, sponsors and donations, because I have a confidentiality clause on, obviously how much I earned from that sponsorship. But to give you guys an idea, the way these sponsorships generally work is that you get around $1 for a month per active concurrent viewer that you have on your stream on average. So if you have on average 800 concurrent viewers, generally you can expect to get about on $1 from, that's the kind of going rate from what I understand. So a guy with 1K concurrent viewers earns 1K for that sponsorship for the month if you're doing a sponsorship. Obviously these vary from streamer to streamer, based on your clout, I suppose. But yeah. Pretty interesting. We have a lot to talk about here on that, but let's just get through the numbers first. But yeah, did earn a reasonable chunk like that. So I more than covered my expenses for month two, despite streaming and making a lot less content. And I'm very grateful for everyone who supported me through that. And I'm grateful for the sponsor who helped me out as well, which was pretty awesome. One thing I did experiment with in month two as well as month three is streaming another game. And I don't know if it's necessarily like that people just weren't as interested in ARPGs in general due to the blunders of Path of Exile, but that definitely isn't something that I'm probably going to be pursuing in the future in any large capacity, going forward, because, a lot less people decided to engage and a lot less people were interested in that kind of content. Due to the fact it's not kind of Path of Exile. And that, in my opinion, is kind of like obviously not something you want to be going for. If you can kind of figure out how to stream your main game, the one that everyone feels at home watching and, kind of communicating with you around, that would be ideal. So I'm going to stick to Path of Exile for the foreseeable future and kind of not swap my game around too much unless I have a reason to do so. Okay, so month three, let's talk a little bit about this here. We have the full stats here, so you can see my current net worth, which is 81k in total. I got 30k invested, so again, around like $183 in 2 months. Not bad. I'm not complaining. I'm a big fan of passive income. Every little bit counts, in my opinion. In cash, we do have like a reasonable amount higher in cash here. I'm very, very happy that my total amount went up. Despite the expenses, despite, living obviously as a human, and despite paying tax as well. I have paid tax. We've got more money to play with. So, obviously, as long as numbers keep going up, you can keep doing it. And if the numbers go up even more, it's even better. So I'm very, very satisfied with that. And I'm relieved, I suppose I would say, that, we're still floating a good amount of money and it seems to be going in the right direction. So that's a relief. Despite me not streaming for the full 3 months and despite it being one of the worst leagues ever. So definitely pretty happy with that. Okay, so in month 3, obviously I didn't really hardly stream at all. I only streamed 15 hours here, definitely a significant amount less. And you can see I also didn't really make too many videos. I made a few, but not too many. And you can see that reflected in the earnings here as well. So Twitch and YouTube definitely fell quite a significant amount. I didn't really stream, so I didn't get any donors or sponsors. And overall, my earnings were quite a lot lower. However, this is almost enough. I think it's pretty much enough to sustain my expenses. So even at my worst, I can still get by and I can still continue my lifestyle, which was what it was all about in the end. And that's kind of what I was looking for. Okay, so let's take a look at the overall goals here though. So in terms of YouTube subs, we did go up quite a lot. This is actually a little bit higher now. I think we're actually at 50,500 now. These numbers are 1 or 2 days old. But yeah, very, very good. I think that this league could potentially be pretty good for growth. And the next goal I'm going for is hopefully 75K, but that's definitely very ambitious. I'm not super sure if I'm ever going to get there, but I'm going to do my best. I got some reasonable ideas about some of the things I want to do, and maybe we can kind of juice it up a little bit more. That'd be nice. All right, so weight loss goals are going well as well. We're still going down. Every day is we're maintaining. We're getting down there. So 89 kg. We're hopefully looking a little slimmer. I don't know if you guys can notice. Yeah, my goal is obviously 80 kilograms. I'd like to get there at the end of the year at least. And be healthy and fit. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we're still in level 4 lockdown in Australia. I think my state has the record for the longest lockdown state on the planet. So it's pretty unfortunate. Haven't been able to go to the gym. Thank you for everyone who recommended the dietary and the at-home workout stuff in the last video. I did read all that, and I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. This has definitely helped. I guess I want to talk a little bit about this. My philosophy on this is that, you kind of like just everything in moderation. I know that's what everyone says. But I still do, I've limited myself to I have like a hot chocolate a day, I'm okay with that. I have half a cookie. And what I do is I break that up in half again. So I get like a quarter and a quarter. And it's kind of interesting because as you train your mind, it's like, one cookie, you don't need to eat the whole cookie. Just a quarter is the same kind of endorphin kind of rush as eating the whole cookie, but you don't get the negative side effects. I know that might sound completely crazy, but that's kind of how it's working out for me because you still get the flavor, the taste, and the enjoyment, but you don't need to consume as much, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe that's some sort of psychological thing. Anyway, yeah, obviously the numbers here are significantly less, but that goes without saying. So let's cover a few of the big things that have been happening here. And the first one I'll cover here is why I wasn't streaming and making content in general. So overall, I was streaming pretty consistently up until the interview I had with Chris Wilson from Grinding Games. So I had lined up an interview because obviously the game was basically on fire. People were review bombing it on Steam. It was really, really bad. I can't emphasize just how bad it was. People were very, very unhappy. And obviously this was not good. So the CEO of the company that makes the game came out and he did 3 community interviews, which basically addressed the concerns of a number of different portions of the community. And I was on one of the panels for that interview. And at the time, I was pretty enthusiastic about it, but overall, it was actually a reasonably negative experience for me, unfortunately. Getting up there and asking questions, there's a lot of expectation. A lot of people were very, very angry, and I feel like basically the cannon was launched at the company, and that got moved quite a little bit to me. And I definitely did cop quite a bit of negativity from that. People saying I didn't do a very good job interviewing and all sorts of stuff like that. It does affect you personally, and I did take it kind of personally as well, because I did try my best. I put many, many hours into that interview, and I think a lot of good did come from it. We'll talk about that in a second here, but overall, that did kind of really take me down a level, which sucked. And obviously the game was in a really, really bad state as well. No one was really interested in playing. Lots of people were still interested in watching. I found out it was one of my most successful leagues in terms of viewership and average views on videos and time watched. But I was not having a good time playing at all. People were right. The game was in a really bad spot, and I was not having fun. So it was turning into the work that I left. Fortunately, we're going in a much better direction now. We'll talk about that in a second here. But overall, I was not having fun playing the game. And, that is what contributed to me actually taking a break, which is, in my opinion, what you should do when you're not having fun doing something. I know, obviously, a lot of people were disappointed I wasn't streaming as much, but I'm never going to force myself to be unhappy because, that's basically just working corporate again. So I decided to take a break, but I still wanted to make something for people. I still wanted to contribute, and I still wanted to be a creator. So if I couldn't play PoE and make content for that, I decided to try another game called Last Epoch. So there wasn't too much interested in that. I decided not to make content on that, and I probably will be sticking to PoE in the future, as I mentioned. So it wasn't that. So I moved on to another door, and that was indie game development. So I've been kind of toying around just as a hobby with making a game. It's kind of been going on and off, here and there, nothing serious. But I was like, okay, so I've got a couple months to kill while the company that makes the game implements all that feedback from the podcasts. What am I going to do with myself? So I decided I'd make an indie game with a very, very talented programmer I'm very friends with. He's a childhood friend of mine, Jake. And we've been smashing it out. We've been making a roguelike tower defense game, and it's almost done. I expect that it'll be on Steam sometime in the next 6 months, depending on how polished we can get it, how ready we can get it, and when that kind of coincides with the Path of Exile leagues. So this indie game, we're planning on selling it for $10 or $15 on Steam, and we're going to be, obviously advertising it as a tower defense inspired by Path of Exile, because it does have a lot of inspiration from that, and I'm very excited about it. And I've played countless hours of it already. We've had people test it in the community. Other creators have tested it. We've gotten a lot of feedback, and we've been through a ton of iterations. And I'm very, 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 very keen, and I'm reasonably confident a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with it. So that's what I spent my 2 months primarily doing, developing this game, and it should come out sometime in the future here, hopefully in the next 3 months or the next few months. We'll have to see. But basically, I wanted to make something for my community, and a lot of people were very, very happy to see that I was making it, and they were very, very excited at the prospects of that. And it's coming along quite nicely, and we're getting a nice layer of polish on it, and it's pretty damn close to being done. Now, launching a product is something I've never really done before, and I'm still very, very new at it. I know everything to do with the business side of things now, fortunately, as I hired an accountant to help me with my tax and also ask them a bunch of questions about this. But actually, launching a product, making sure that it's released well, supported well, and all sorts of stuff like that, I don't 100% know what's involved. So it's going to be an interesting learning experience, but that's exactly what I signed up for when I quit my job, and I've been enjoying every second of it. So very, very happy there. And I imagine that the 2 months here that I took a hit on my earnings in streaming and YouTube, I imagine I will recoup a number of dollars from that from the release of the game. I have no idea how well it's going to sell or if it'll sell at all, but I imagine it'll probably be a few $100 to kind of add to the numbers here. So there's obviously a few months left of development at least to get it exactly where I want it to be in terms of quality, but I'm very excited about that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the sponsorship I did though, because I think a lot of people are going to be interested in this. So I think I mentioned that you get $1 per average concurrent viewer you have, so 1K equals 1,000, and the sponsorship that I did here was with NordVPN. So NordVPN was actually a pretty easy company to work with, and I didn't work exactly directly with Nord. I worked with a talent agency called AFK Creators, and they were super duper nice to me. Now the payment isn't actually included in my total assets here. I haven't gotten that yet because I've been dawdling with sending an invoice. I actually didn't know how to send an invoice, but I've sent that off now. So I'll give them a few days. Hopefully they can get the money out to me. But overall, it was a very, very positive experience. Basically, to give you guys an idea of how it works, AFK creators contacted me. I sussed them out, over many months to kind of see if they were someone I wanted to work with. They were. So when I went full time, I signed this contract with them and set it up, and they set me up with the obviously the sponsorship. And the way the sponsorship worked is that basically I had a 1-month contract with Nord. I see a few other creators also have a similar contract to the one I had. You need to put a banner on your stream, an overlay on your stream. You have a chatbot that goes, I think it's every 30 minutes to an hour, which has basically your referral code in it, as well as a link to the product. And then you also get an amount of time free with being a sponsor or whatever it's called of Nord. And then basically you have to mention the product once a week for a month. So 4 mentions total. So I did that, and it was a pretty positive experience. Obviously, you get a chunk of money, but overall, it's not something I'm interested in doing again. Despite it being a very, very loose contract, all I needed to mention about the product is that it could unlock region lock. And it was, that's true. It can do that. And it's not hurting anyone. It's not damaging the experience at all. It did introduce a new element to streaming for me. And that was the pressure of having to stream. Right now, not being under contract, I don't have to stream if I don't want to. I don't have to make a video if I don't want to. The only time I need to is if I feel obligated because the fans want it, or if I need money. So it did cut away a little bit of my freedom. It did erode away at it. And I was starting to get that corporate feeling again. And a lot of streamers go really, really hard with this. They have a manager, they have like an agency, they have sponsors, all this stuff like that. And that is a job. There's no way around it. You have to wake up, you have to stream at a time, you have to end at a time, and you have to say things on stream. That's not what I'm going for here. My lifestyle was meant to be all about, freedom, inspiration, and just having a good time, just chilling out and hopefully getting by, not hurting anybody. And this wasn't hurting anybody, but it did, obviously add a new element. Almost, it tainted the purity a little bit of the stream. It wasn't just me and the boys anymore. It was me and the boys. Please sign up to NordVPN. And, obviously it wasn't predatory in any way, but it did obviously change the experience. It put pressure on me. So I'm probably not going to be doing any sponsorships over an elapsed amount of time ever again. Unless obviously I have some sort of change of heart in the future. I won't rule anything out, but that's kind of my approach to that. Incredible source of income, very, very good for stability if you can kind of maintain it, and it's what you want to do, and it can definitely enable people to stream, but it's not for me. Okay, so one thing I would consider doing is one-off sponsors, like on videos. If I ever get to that level or I want to do that and I'm happy with it, I might do that. But that's about where it's probably going to stop. Okay, so moving on, that's the sponsorship covered. Definitely a very good thing for small streamers if you can kind of get that going. Basically, anyone over 500 viewers that wants to do it full time, I would recommend trying to figure this out and get this sorted. Because it's definitely going to help you get over the line to being full time. Okay, so I've talked about the game, I've talked about the sponsorship, I've talked about where we're at. Let's talk a little bit about stream versus YouTube. So this is a massive topic that I've been investigating here over the months. And I've basically been splitting my focus between streaming and YouTube, but we're gonna touch on one topic in particular because obviously I don't want this to go too long. And we need to also talk a little bit about that upcoming league because it's going to be quite exciting. So there is definitely a disconnect with the amount of reward for effort. Specifically in month 1 here, you can see that I had a higher amount of money earned from YouTube than Twitch here, and I was definitely putting in less effort to YouTube. So there's been a number of discoveries that I've been making about YouTube, which actually increase the amount of revenue that you can earn from each individual video significantly. I could go over these in a separate video, but basically it's suffice to say that this number is underrepresented compared to what I will be earning moving forward here, and I expect it to be much higher next league, next reporting period, than Twitch. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why that is and kind of the comparison between the two. So Twitch streamers in general are expected by their viewers to stream anywhere between 5 to 10 hours consecutively per day most of the time, every day. That's kind of the industry standard, and that's kind of what people kind of get invested in. They want to be there, they want to have their favorite streamer on every night, and it's kind of like they get to hang out, and it's really cool. And that's fantastic, but that is a job, right? That is definitely a job. And that is not necessarily what I want to be going for, because it doesn't leave any time for me to, for example, work on my indie game, make YouTube videos. That's a full-time job. That's like higher than a full-time job to do that streaming. Now, streaming is a high-intensity kind of occupation as well. It takes it out of you. It emotionally just pulls it out of you. It's insane how much energy it consumes. You just feel drained, kind of like a husk at the end of it. And that's you're a good feeling husk, because generally you're amped. It's like almost like some sort of a drug. You are amped at the end of a stream, especially if it was like a high energy stream. So Twitch, I think, is something that is very, very fun. It's an opportunity to connect with your fan base, and it can be a job if you want it to be. But for me, I'm not sure if it's going to be my exact role. I think that I'd much rather focus more on YouTube, and that's where I have my real passion, my love for creating content, and I'll explain a little bit why that is. But overall, the actual kind of returns financially, YouTube wins most of the time until you hit a certain size and you kind of leverage sponsors. Now, I've already talked about how I'm not really interested in leveraging sponsors in the future, and that is kind of coinciding with the fact that, I don't want to be a committed streamer. I don't want to have a schedule, and overall, I know that's probably going to disappoint some people, but that's kind of just kind of how I want to live my life. I don't want to have a start time and end time, because that is basically a full-time job. Now, what do I plan to do in the future with streaming? Because obviously I still want to do it. It's a fantastic opportunity, and it's an absolute thrill. Obviously, it's like kind of like this high intensity thrill of like 8 hours of just adrenaline max. Well, I'm basically going to stream every big event that I'm kind of interested in. Like, obviously when the new season comes out, I'm going to stream hard, all day, every day, 24/7 for, 2 or 3 weeks. Then, I'll probably stream all of my other big things, like, you can make these really crazy items in the game. I'm going to probably be streaming those. Anything which I think is really exciting and where you can turn the stream on and it's entertaining and it's like kind of awesome. Those are probably the things I'm going to stream. So I guess that makes me not really a streamer. It makes me a YouTuber, which definitely I think suits my personality as well as my my kind of life goals much, much better. Now, Twitch, I do want to kind of add is it's a positive experience. I don't want to kind of downplay it here, and I love kind of interacting with people. It's definitely something I really enjoy. It just definitely does put a lot of pressure on the amount of time you have, and I'm gonna tell you guys basically the moment I realized this. So I was kind of in the Twitch grind. I was doing the trying to stream 8 hours a day, every day in the league that I hated, okay. So basically what happens to you is when you're treating it like a job, let's say you wake up at 10 and the sun's out, right? And you're like, okay, I gotta turn the stream on for 8 hours, right? So if you take 10 and you add 8 hours to it, what is that? That takes you to 6 p.m. So you wake up, you stream for 8 hours, 6 p.m. The sun's going down. You didn't even get to go out. And there's also ideal stream times. So my ideal stream time actually starts at 6 p.m. Australian time. And it goes till like 6 a.m. Australian time. So I actually need to completely screw my sleeping pattern to get optimal stream time. So overall, you can kind of see the picture I'm painting here. To try and actually min-max Twitch and make that my primary focus and my income stream is basically going to create a fairly self-destructive lifestyle for myself, and one that I wasn't looking to go for, because that's why I left corporate. So Twitch for me is going to be time to hang out with the boys, connect with the fans. It's going to be just purely me, exactly how I'm feeling, exactly how I'm thinking. No extra effort put in terms of trying to play it up or anything like that, and then the real focus, the real pushing and the real min-maxing and the financial and all the sponsored, anything like that is going to be on the YouTube side of things. Now, this doesn't mean I'm not going to stream. I'm just going to stream whenever I'm enjoying, like, just hanging out. Basically, if I was going to log into Discord and chat with the friends, I'll turn the stream on instead. That's kind of going to be my approach. And I think overall, I guess what I want to communicate here is that I think in life you should just do what you enjoy. And if I feel like streaming and I want to enjoy it, like, I'm definitely going to turn it on. That's definitely not going to change. And I've already been doing that for pretty much the past few days here. I've been streaming quite a lot as well. Okay, so YouTube, I did talk a little bit about how this is where I really want to min-max things. And I have been doing so. I've been looking a lot into how ads work and AdSense and video links, and all sorts of stuff like that. And I think that this really is the place where you can get the most juice. And I'll make a video maybe comparing YouTube to Twitch and why I think it's so much better in terms of a lifestyle thing, as well as also kind of an earnings kind of side of thing. So the first thing I like about YouTube is that it doesn't actually ask anything of your fan base. All the money is coming from advertisers and from Google. So I don't actually have to ask, it's basically, Twitch is essentially like you're a busker and you're, hopefully people, throw you a coin. YouTube is more like creating a television program. And I really like that. It feels a lot better and it sits a lot better with me. Obviously, you don't get as much interaction. That's why I'm still going to continue to do Twitch when I feel like it's appropriate. But YouTube is definitely my main interest right now. And I think it also has a lot more opportunity to give you kind of more education content, entertainment content, because you can edit it. And overall, I think it sits a lot better with me. And a lot of people are really enjoying some of the content I tried out putting in the last league. So I'm definitely going to be going full speed ahead with that. And you can see just by my smile here, I'm a big fan of YouTube, and I always have been. So let's talk a little bit about the next league. So it's fair to say that, the one that I started out with was a bit of a disaster. But the next one, they basically did these community podcasts and they took all this feedback and they actually implemented it straight away. And the next season is looking like the best they've ever done, in my opinion at least. And we've already seen that reflected in the numbers of viewership. I think I put a video out yesterday that already has 80,000 views. That's the kind of hype levels we're talking about here. And I think, again, about 1,000 subs in under a week. So definitely it's, I won't say unprecedented, but it's going to be a big one. And I'm very, very interested and very, very motivated as well this time around, unlike last time. So it's going to be interesting to see where things lie. I think a lot of people are excited. They're already enjoying the content I'm putting out. And I'm really, really stoked that it's going to be a big one and people are going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to try and make it as fun as possible as well on my streams as well as my YouTube. As I mentioned, I'm going to be streaming pretty much 24/7 for like 2 or 3 weeks, so I'm really pumped. I'm sorry that I missed last month. It was a bit of a downer, but I was also working on my indie game. Hopefully in the next few updates, we can maybe get a look at that. It's definitely close. I imagine that we'll be showing it off probably towards the tail end of this coming up season of Pee-wee, so probably about 2 or 3 months. We'll be showing it off, and that should be a pretty fun one. So I hope you guys enjoy this update. Everything's going well. No regrets at all. Couldn't be happier with my decision, and I just, it's a blessing every day. I guess just to kind of talk on a more personal level, it did finally hit me today, actually. It hit me again. Basically, I went on a bushwalk this morning, and today's a Wednesday. So I went on a bushwalk this morning, and I saw a school crossing lady, and I was like, whoa. I'm going to do a recreational activity at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, and I had the power to do that. And, also just going over to your parents' house, like my parents, I kind of went for a visit of them, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was working my full-time job. And it's not really hurting me financially at all. Obviously, the opportunity cost of earning more and more consistently is there, but I value happiness far higher these days and don't regret my decision at all. It hasn't impacted me at all negatively. It's only been a positive thing. So I guess the closing message is here. That everything is going well, and we'll see future updates from the Grimro, and I wonder what's gonna come next. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys later. Oh, I call myself Grimro, Grimreal. There you guys. Anyway, catch up.